This next design starts with a center block that has what we call a Y seam. And what a Y seam is when you can't go straight across and there's an interruption of another block or piece of fabric coming in. So I'm giving you two options. One, you can stick around while I show you how to do this as a Y seam, or you can sub this one piece out for two smaller blocks. So in essence, you would sew it as these two together, those three together, then you join that as a unit, and then this as your final unit to complete the block. In the Y seam, we're taking out these two 2.5 inch blocks. These are 2.5 by 4.5 potato chips, by the way. So I'm putting another potato chip here. And what we need to do is we need to first make this seam. And because we need to join this, which is incomplete as well, I'm going to go 1/4 inch from here, and I'm going to end about, let's say, 1/2 inch from the end. So let me do that, and then I'll be right back. So I've got this sewn. You'll see that it's open here. So now what I'm going to do, I just finger press this open or to the dark side. So now what I'll do is I'll sew this with 1/4 inch of a seam with right sides together. With that complete, I'm now going to take this and again join that right sides together, make a complete seam with 1/4 inch, and then I will press my seam to the dark side. You can press them open if you like. I'm just a dark side kind of girl. Okay, so if you've chosen to have done the other blocks, this is how it would look for you right now. So this wouldn't be here, and then you would have this sewn here, and then you'd be doing one join and your block would be complete. Because I'm doing this as a Y seam, we flip this one over like this to make sure it's out of the way. And what I do is I just put a pin in so I don't accidentally get it caught back in. Then we're going to take this, do a right side together, and then we're going to stitch this 1/4 of a seam, and then we'll press it to the dark side. I'll do that and I'll be right back. Okay, so as you see, this is now sewn together. So all I have to do is bend this backwards, line this up, pin it, and complete this seam, and then the center block is all done. So give it a try. I think you'll find it's not as difficult as it seems, and Y seams will be forever your friend. So I'll just finish this up and then I'll show you what we do next. So there it is, all done. This measures 6.5 by 6.5, and that's what the back of the seams look like. So it's very clean. So now we get to do this 3 more times. So we'll need 4 of these in total to complete this block. Okay, so now that we have the center of our block made, we need to make some sets. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 8 of these and make them into 4 sets where the 2 high contrast are paired together. And then we're going to make 4 of the high contrast and your low volume background sewn together. So in total per block, you'll need 4 of these and 4 of these. This is just 1/4 inch stitched together. So let me go ahead and do that and I'll be right back. So of the 4 where we've sewn the dark against the low volume, we're now going to take another low volume and sew it on the bottom so that you have like a backwards L. This is what you do for the B blocks. For the A blocks, it'll be the other way around so that you have an L facing this way. So let me go ahead and sew those, and then I'll show you the block assembly. So this is how block B will be laid out. What you want to do is have your L's facing out like this. So the length of the low volume is against the center seam. So what I will go ahead and do is sew these in 3 rows, join them together, and then I'll be right back to show you how it looks. So this is block B together, and we will be making 2 of these. And if you'll take note how the L of the low volume is faced in that direction. And then, so you'll be making 2 of those. And then this is block A, which looks very familiar to the other, but the L's are facing in the other direction. You'll be making 2 of those. So if you put them side by side, you can see how they are opposites. So I have 2 more blocks to put together, and then I'll be right back to show you how these all form into one beautiful quilt. Okay, so I have all 4 of my blocks sewn together, and now it's time to start joining them together as one unit. So what I've chosen is black as a sashing along with a low volume. So I've got an A block here and a B block here. And what I want to do is take a 2.5 by 8.5 along with a 2.5 inch square of the low volume and a 2.5 by 4.5 of the black, and joining these together. Once that is done, then the next row is the opposite. So I have a B and an A, and same idea, same size sashing, except you're doing it in the opposite so that these look like they're formed together. So I'm going to go ahead and sew these together, and then I'll show you how we join them in the center. Okay, these blocks are now joined vertically, and now we need to join them so that they're in a group of 4. So what we need to do is we're taking our block again. I am using a jelly roll. I do cut off the edges because I find the particular one I'm using is wider than 2.5, and I want some consistency. So that is what I've trimmed them down to. So you're going to need an 8.5, a 2.5 of your low volume background, a 10.5, another 2.5, and another 8.5. So by joining these together, lining up these seams, you'll now have a group of 4. So let me do this and I'll show you what we do next. Okay, so all 4 blocks are now joined together with sashing vertically and horizontally. Because I want to leave this blanket at this size, I'm going to start adding borders. If you want to make this larger, you could certainly take in pairs or in singles by adding, this is a B, this is an A, then you'd add a B, this is an A, so you could go A, B, A, and they'd all interconnect, and same going on the bottom. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to show you how I'm going to frame it up. So what I will do is add white that gives the illusion of going around the corner here, and this will add a secondary pattern going around like that. Then there'll be black that is going along here, and then again there'll be white going around forming a secondary pattern there, and then I'll do the same on the sides. So on the white on the topper edge, this is going to be 6.5, and this will be 6.5 here, and then this is, I believe it's 22.5 inches. I will put that in the video, and then repeat the same on the bottom edge, which you can't see in this image. So I will go ahead and do that, and then I'll check back with you in a minute. So here we are with all the borders on. So what I was sewing was this top piece and the bottom piece, or the side, sorry, and then the bottom. and I placed a black 2-inch border around it just so you could see how it frames it if I leave it this way. As I said before, you could take the outer block off and then step and repeat it to a larger quilt if you wanted. I'm calling this square within square because you have all these different patterns that in the rectangular square, but it starts with a square in the center. I encourage you to try doing the Y seam. It is really quite easy. I practiced a couple times and now it's very easy to do. So I'd love to know what you feel about this pattern. Don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And as always, sew safely and sew with Debee. Bye for now.